Okay, so I guess the live is working now. So we're going to try something a little bit different today. Usually I stay away from mods because a lot of them break the game, but I'm going to try the A4. This mod has been around for quite some time, and basically it's quite well supported by its developers, and so I feel that it's kind of worth a good try. And last night I tried the cold start to get to know how the plane works a little bit, and I guess now I'm ready to take it on my usual trial mission here, where I go attack some insurgent positions, a little bit like I did yesterday with MiG-15. And oddly enough, the A4 has interesting taxi features like the MiG-15. MiG-15 uses differential braking in a similar fashion to the other MiGs or the Spitfire. This one uses, like, there's no real steering on the nose wheel steering, but you use the right brake and left brake independently. And so it's a nice thing that I have rudder pedals that do have the brake features on each one of them, because that's how you turn the plane around. And once you get used to it, it's not too bad. And so what I did is I found one of the skins that has a nice camo for the map that we're going to be on the Caucasus map, and it's from New Zealand, so kind of nice to have a country that we don't often fly their planes in DCS. And I loaded it up with a bunch of rockets. I probably could have put like 3 more on the center pylon. That's how much weight this little plane can carry. It's very impressive. But I probably won't need more than 6 rocket pods to accomplish the mission. It does have some cannons as well, and I brought a fuel tank because it kind of looks good and makes us able to test different things like dropping the fuel tank if we want. So that's going to be my little test flight, just to go attack the insurgent positions as usual and shoot some rockets, maybe fire some guns, see how the thing flies, and if we can bring it back to base and land. So that's going to be our flight there. So hope you enjoy. Sorry, I had to check a message there, so that's the beauty of being live. So let's take the A4 and go try to shoot that guy with a machine gun that wants to shoot back at us. So I'm gonna make sure the switches are in the right positions before we go. Alright, that looks good. Go. So that's the cockpit. I'm just going to show you the outside here, what it looks like. So this is the plane. We're going to be flying this to our objectives. Looks really nice. The reflections on it, the detail, if you zoom in up close, is quite nice. Cool looking plane. The pilot has this red helmet too, very colorful. And you can see that the cockpit is nice and crisp. You can see that the controls are nice and clear. It looks like a plane that would be almost like brand new. Like a lot of other modules, you can get rid of the stick if it's in the way of seeing things. So since we're probably going to use our rockets first, I'm going to start with the inboard pylons, which has more rockets. And this here I'll set to rocket. And I don't know for rockets if we need to arm nose and tail, but I'll just set it anyways. So this is your arming panel here. You've got your flight information mostly here. Got radar altitude, engine information here. This is the radar. I haven't really learned how to use that. Maybe I'll watch some more tutorial videos and learn how to use it. On this side we have the lighting that we can set up. So since we're about to taxi, we could turn the taxi lights into collision, and the wings and tails you can see from outside. You have like they're not on yet because there is a master switch. There you go. There's a master switch for lights, which I think on the plane is on the throttle, on the side of the throttle there. So I put it like on a similar spot on my throttle on my HOTAS. And yeah, that allows you like a little bit like in the F-18 where you can actually turn the lights on and off like with the flick of one button. You can do it there with that switch. And so for takeoff, I guess we'll have the lights on, and then later on we'll turn them off. And so those are some of the features that you can see in the cockpit. And the cool thing too about this is it's free. You don't have to purchase it. I think from what I read and heard from people is that the developers of this, I think at one point they were offered to make it as a part of the other modules in DCS, but they wanted to keep it a free module and keep the spirit of the community, I guess, that built it. And so it's open source and all, and so it's kind of nice. But the end result is we do get something for free, and it looks like it's nicely polished. And you can see like even the detail, like the inside of the cockpit. It's quite nice. So now for taxiing, we have to use our differential braking, as I was saying. I just want to go outside to check my flaps, because you have to turn the switch on and then stop it. And then you can make it go further, or you can bring it back up like that. You do have like something that visually represents that over here. So I think for takeoff, like this is more or less the position where you should have it. You don't have to go all the way down. So let's try this. So now that we're moving, we apply a little bit of differential braking. I'll put the control so you can see how much of the pedal I'm pressing to turn. And then to bring it straight, I do it in the other direction. You can see it's not too hard to do. What's difficult though is like if I want to brake like evenly, it's pretty tough. It has that tendency to go one side or the other. So for those planes that have like differential braking like that, I can't say I'm a huge fan of having the brakes on full, give it power and then take off, because then when I start moving it usually starts wobbling a bit. So I'll just slowly move forward, see if I need to adjust, and now that it looks pretty straight, we're gonna go full power. And once we get about like 100 knots like this, we can use just the regular rudders to keep our nose straight. And now we can take off. Get the wheels up. You can see them going up in. And then I can get my flaps up at a certain speed. And since this is an attack mission and the targets are pretty close where we see those flames and smoke in the distance, we're just going to turn the lights off. There we go. So you can see that camo kind of fits well with the environment here. At least the parts that are hit by the sun like this. There. So now we're climbing. We're at about 300 knots. And we're going to head in that direction there for those targets. So at this point, I'll want to turn the master arm on. I'm not going to turn the guns on because I think since I shoot with the trigger for the rockets, it would also shoot the guns, so I'll keep the guns separate. One of the cool features when you do a cold start with this plane, when you ask for electric power from the ground crew, there's actually a small object like an APU that's positioned next to the plane, so the mod people were the first to do that. Now you can see that in the F-4E that they took one of Masson's objects to have like a little cart there to be able to give you what you need for a cold start. But I guess the A4 people were the first to do something like that, so it's nice to see that they inspired some of the module makers to do something like this. Alright, so let's go try to get our technical, which we know is on this road here. I've got myself pretty much lined up on the line here, and our sight helps us to keep things lined up a little. So he's shooting at me. I'm going to shoot back. And let's pull up. See what kind of damage we managed to do. Looks like we've got a few vehicles on fire. If I go back to the cockpits. Yeah, I think we got our insurgent Toyota that was shooting back at us, so that's good. Oh, am I gonna crash? Oof, that was close to the trees. Felt like I was almost gonna touch them. think what I'll need to do is leave the rudders centered like this and then do passes without playing with them, because whenever I do, the rockets look like they're sort of moving sideways. Now, do we still have rockets in these pods? Yeah, we do. What I will do though is I will turn on the outside ones. That was a better pass, I feel, but I still have a few vehicles I haven't hit. Didn't even get the one I wanted to get. This one I think I got. As you can see, this tiny little thing can carry lots of rockets. I think it's got like 2 rockets left, so we're just gonna get rid of those to show something that we can do with this. I'll put the autopilot on, and when you want to drop some of your ordnance, you can choose which one you want to select, and then you do that. And like here, I just dropped my centerline tank. And since now all my rocket pods are empty, I can do 2, 4. You can see that the 2 sides there dropped one after the other. And then I could go 1, 5, and it does the same thing. So now I've got what I like to call the sports car, meaning that it doesn't really have anything on it, so it makes it a lot more maneuverable. And so what we'll do is we'll turn our guns on. We'll set that back to where it was. We can turn off these switches. We can test our gun. It's running. So we'll go back to the target, and as you can see, the plane is turning, maneuvering really quickly now that we've made it much lighter. It's handling like a sports car. So this looks like it's smoking. So let's give it a strafe. Now it's on fire. And I think maybe we'll have another one. How did we do? I think we hit one of them. The other one, it's got a little smoke on it. You can clearly see though that this tiny little plane has plenty of ordnance to get rid of pretty much everything I had there at the target area. So we'll do one last gun pass and then we'll go land this baby. There we go. Super. And so I don't think I left a lot of the enemy insurgent force left alive there. So we can have a look here and head to base. So there is an autopilot which allows us to do an altitude hold. So I can set myself like in a neutral position here, looking at the climb right there. If I bring it to close to 0, I can set autopilot and altitude hold. It's probably gonna do a decent job at that, although I'm not sure the altitude hold clicked in properly. Let's try that again. It seems to be doing a decent job. We can see the runway is right there, so we don't have very far to fly to. I'm gonna try something else too with the autopilot. I think we can have an attitude hold. Is that if I just put it like that, it's gonna keep the attitude. It's gonna allow me to turn, but it keeps the climb right. Yeah. So I do have like quite a few autopilot options, which is nice. So now we'll turn all of that off, and then I can show you the air brakes. I'm gonna reduce the throttle, get the air brakes out. Are they coming out? Now they're coming out. You can see my speed dropping. I'm going to turn towards the airfield, and then we'll get our flaps to go down a bit, then get the gear down. Set my feet on the pedals again. We're gonna go full flaps. See what the plane looks like in the landing configuration. Go nose down too much. I'm gonna have to give it gas as well. There we go. I think when the leading edge slats pop out, you hear the floop, and it's like all of a sudden you get a surge in how much lift you get. Let's bring him down gently. Okay. I've had better landings, but this is not too bad. Air brakes are now out. I can start braking. The braking noises are kind of funny. It's like a Roadrunner kind of screech. Alright. So let's start turning around. You can see that this thing is pretty maneuverable. Go. So let's maybe give it just a little gas to straighten out the front wheels. As I said, it's very hard to stop in a straight line. I guess I've managed to do just that there. And so you can ask the ground crew to put in the wheel checks. Oops. Wrong button. Oh, the other thing about this plane is the ground crew won't hear you if the cockpit is not open. So let's try that again. Wheel checks.
Chief, place the wheel chocks. Copy.
And now he says copy.
Wheel chocks are now in
And
place.
he puts them on. And so just to end this, we'll click on the throttle and make sure we shut off the engines. We could turn our light switches off, which I hadn't turned back on when I landed back at the base. And then you have your other systems like this that you can put on off. Few other ones here, stuff like that. So anyways, that was my little attack flight. So let's go check F7. There's this one fuel truck that's left, and I think that's about it. All the others got hit. Even the infantry here looks like he's on the ground. So yeah, didn't leave much. So fun little plane. It's free. I encourage everybody to try it. See if you like it. It's not a super modern jet or anything, but it's fun to get something a little bit different. Since I've been flying the F4 lately, you know, I've gotten used to flying with older technology. Last summer I was also flying the Mirage F1, which was quite similar in that sense. Well, the A4 is something that is a little bit of a mix of all that. No afterburning engines. This has no afterburner, but it's got enough power for such a small plane, so interesting thing to try out. So I hope you enjoyed my little flight there. See you next time.